dear, oh dear. Aurora and Mickey are grooming each other. So I'm going to have to put them to one side. Oh dear. Oh, now Aurora has decided she's going to groom me. Oh, okay, darling. Yes, yes. Matty loves you too. Yes. I'm going to plunge right in with A, B, C, D, E, F, who says, Lady C, Prince Harry has followed his mother's lead in campaigning against landmines. Cluster bombs, like landmines, result in massive civilian casualties for decades after they are deployed, and for this reason, many countries, including the UK, have banned their use. But President Biden has decided to send cluster bombs to Ukraine. Don't you think it's strange that Harry has not condemned this? If it was Donald Trump authorizing the use of cluster bombs, we can be sure that Harry would be the first person to protest. Not only Harry, his humanitarian wife. It's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. You know, the 2008 Convention on Cluster Munitions prohibits the use, the production, the transfer, or the stockpiling of cluster munitions. That includes cluster bombs and landmines. It also requires the destruction of stockpiles, the clearance of all areas contaminated by remnants, and victim assistance. More than 120 states have joined the Convention on Cluster Munitions and are working to implement its provisions, or so they say they're doing. Human Rights Watch is a founding member of the Cluster Munitions Coalition and contributes to its annual Cluster Munitions Monitoring Report. However, the United States, Russia, and Ukraine have never been signatories. It is, according to Diana, Princess of Wales, an atrocity to use cluster bombs and landmines. Is Harry condoning the atrocity that would be perpetrated against the Ukrainian people as well as the Russian people by the sending of cluster bombs to Ukraine? There is absolutely no advantage, in the opinion of many peace-loving people, for the perpetuation of a war that should end with the preservation of the Ukrainian people and their sovereignty, and the peaceful coexistence of Ukraine and all its neighbors. Now, I don't want to get drawn into a controversial political debate. Safe to say that anybody who values human life and values peace and values our society and its civilization will understand that the sooner that war is brought to an end, the better. And the requirement of anybody for regime change in any part of that scenario is inappropriate and will only perpetuate the war. there is no advantage, according to the authorities, the neutral authorities, to be gained by perpetuating the war. The Ukrainian people need peace, and they need their liberties protected against all foreign powers. All. I don't want to be drawn into this debate any further than to say that it is arrant hypocrisy on the part of Harry and Meghan to remain silent about the use of cluster bombs in the Ukrainian conflict, sent by the American president. You know, any student of history knows there comes a point in a war when, if it is settled, it is to the advantage of all. And if it is not settled, it is ultimately to the disadvantage of most, if not all. That's the lesson of history. Harry, Meghan, silent? Well, hardly surprising, isn't it? Because with their ambitions and their hopes, they're not going to go against even what his mother characterized as an atrocity, and they would doubtless characterize as an atrocity if Donald Trump had been the donor of this supposed gift. Sylvia says, "Good evening, Lady C. I hope you are keeping well. Thank you very much, I am. Could I ask your views on the BBC? Whether anything illegal has been done, this is hardly the integrity or decency required of staff in an organisation that we have to pay for. They rest on the laurels of historic good works. I believe now that the licence fee should be abolished. Thank you for your excellent vlogs, which I love. If only there were more people in the world like you." Thank you very much, June Sylvia. You're not going to like what I have to say, I've got to tell you. You're referring to Hugh Edwards and to Mrs. Hugh Edwards' statement, which obviously, unless I don't understand English, and I think I understand English very well, is saying, please have pity on my husband. He is devastated by being caught with his or somebody else's trousers down is beyond the point. Beside the point. and I mean, she's definitely begging for people's pity, not even sympathy, pity, and begging for mercy. And I have to tell you, I'm old enough and broad-minded enough to say that as long as he's done nothing illegal, I don't really care what anybody does in their private life, as long as they don't break the law and corrupt the youth of today or yesterday, if we're dealing with yesterday. I think adults should protect and be protective of children and the rights of children. if Hugh Edwards, as looks quite obvious from what Mrs. Hugh Edwards' statement says, has been, shall we be delicate and say, a naughty boy, and if his tastes have run in the direction of, as it would appear that these tastes run in, young men, as long as they are above the age of consent and he has broken no laws, I don't think it's anybody's business. I agree with you. The BBC should lose its licensing fee. I don't think it's going to. I'm going to tell you why I don't think it's going to. One of the top BBC presenters who was with them for decades interviewed me not too long ago. And he said the BBC is basically MI5 and MI6. It is a state organ in more ways than one. And it has the sympathies of the bureaucracy that runs this country. Now, the BBC is supposed to be impartial, and therefore they are in breach of the license fee. And for that reason and that reason alone, I think they should lose the license fee, the ability to raise money off a license fee, which we, the citizens of this country, are forced to pay. It's not an elective. Old ladies are always being sent to prison. You can burgle someone's house 100 times and you'll not go to prison, but be an old lady who can't afford to pay the BBC license and you go to prison. I'm sorry, there's something very askew with that sense of proportionality. And I say it also applies to the peccadilloes, the personal peccadilloes of the BBC's staff. Public decorum requires that people behave in a civilized and acceptable way. Hugh Edwards has always publicly, when he was on television, comported himself in a totally acceptable way. Now, one of the people who told me who it was is from Wales as well and can't stand Hugh Edwards because Hugh Edwards was rude to her, unnecessarily, gratuitously rude, because he's from Wales and thinks he's so grand that somebody else who actually is grander than he is, and he didn't realize it, was saying, oh, sort of thing, you know, we're both from Wales, and he was stinkingly rude. That's unacceptable. But that doesn't mean he should lose his job. That means he's just basically full of himself and doesn't have good manners. But in terms of what he did privately, it's got nothing to do, insofar as I can see, with his performance as a newsreader. And as long as he did not convey his private prejudices the way other newsreaders, such as Emily Maitlis and that girl Nega Munchetti, have done, unacceptable, totally unacceptable. Hugh Edwards never did it, that I'm aware of, and he evidently is in a terrible state because, of course, he faces losing his career, his prestige, his reputation, and being reviled. Now, as long as he's done nothing illegal, I think it's none of our business. if he's done something morally dubious, maybe because he is an employee of a state organization that forces us to supplement his wages, I see the rationale for him being made to stand down. But otherwise, I think we live in an overly puritanical, overly moralistic age where minor peccadillos, meaning carnal interests, and anything attached to carnality is overblown, in my view. And I'm not referring to serious matters. I'm not, because this is YouTube, I'm not using graphic terms. Obviously, something serious where people are forced into situations that are antithetical to their tastes or desires is absolutely, if it's illegal, it's totally wrong. But, you know, the number of people in the last year or two whose careers have been destroyed because they were accused of groping someone. Excuse me. In my day, you just slapped the guy and told him to bugger off. And that was the end of it. What have we come to? What paths have we come to? That people's careers, when they are capable, are destroyed because of minor peccadillos. I would have thought that the neo-puritanical intolerance is actually far worse than tolerating nuisances. And I mean, obviously, if somebody is hounding you, that's another matter. But if a guy does a little touchy-feely, I'm sorry, it's happened to me countless times. It's happened to all my friends countless times. In our generation, you just slapped the guy or told him to get lost. And if he was a groper, you said he wasn't safe in taxis. And he quickly suffered by being excluded. But I mean, going to prison, losing your career? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I am not so moralistic that I think that the punishment should not fit the crime. I think the punishment should fit the crime. And much of what is being criminalized nowadays, and I'm not referring to Hugh Edwards, I'm just referring generally to a little grope here, and it's called assault. I mean, so the guy groped you, get over it. I mean, if money wasn't at the end of that carrot, believe me, the donkey wouldn't be braying. That's my take on it. And to return to Hugh Edwards, unless I don't understand English, he is definitely toast. He has been caught out in a major way. According to the police reports so far, he has done nothing illegal. And if he has done nothing illegal, I think we are supposed to be part of a tolerant society. And I think we should say, well, your behavior was inappropriate. Losing your job is more than punishment enough. So I'm sorry, June Sylvia. I do not entirely agree with you. I agree with you in part, but I am maybe a little bit more tolerant. You know, why not be tolerant? I mean, the punishment should fit the crime is an expression that applies whether there is a crime committed or not. And to wrap it up, I will say it looks as if so far Mr. Edwards committed no crime. Mrs. Edwards is being a very good and loyal wife, and she's protecting her husband, her children, her family, and I respect her right to do that. And she has rarely thrown herself on the public's mercy and thrown him, almost blackmailing people emotionally. You know, because if it turns out that he's done something illegal, his mental health is of no consideration whatsoever and is not a free pass and shouldn't be. Isn't it interesting how nowadays mental health is used as a free pass for everything? On the other hand, if he hasn't committed any crime, even though he has strayed into dubious waters morally, let's remember what Jesus Christ said. Let him who is without sin cast the first stone. I think some degree of tolerance is not only desirable, but in a free society is necessary. Having said all of that, let's wait and see what happens. Because Hugh Edwards, if he has done nothing illegal, should not be made to suffer beyond the loss of his job, in my opinion. And now on to the next, rather less controversial question. Ashen Kara says, today is the 10th anniversary of the accession of the King of Belgium. What do you make of the difficulties between his father and sister? Do you know her? I think you are referring to Delphine Boel, as she was known, now known as Princess Delphine of Saxe-Coburg-Gotha. The previous king of the Belgians' love child. Yes, I know her vaguely. We've been to parties together. We had mutual friends, so I used to see her at their parties, etc., etc. She's a charming woman, and she did what she felt she had to do, and she had a good result. And I think what she did deserves one's compassion. And the whole matter was finally resolved in as satisfactory a way as was possible, considering the fact that her father was King Albert of the Belgians, and that he, after having recognized her for many years, felt he should lie doggo, which was very unfortunate. And ultimately, it cost him his throne. But relations between everybody in the family are now civilized, and Delphine has been received by the present King Philippe, and everybody gets along to the extent that it is possible in such a delicate situation to get along, which you have to commend all the participants concerned for the generosity of spirit which they have displayed, albeit under the aegis of the law, let's put it that way. And I think King Philippe and Queen Mathilde are doing a very good job. She is a very good-looking woman. She's very stylish in a less eye-catching way than, say, Queen Maxima of the Netherlands. But she is always beautifully presented, and she is a good-looking woman. She just doesn't grab for attention, and she gets a modest degree of attention, and he's very good. So I think everything has worked out all right. Let's put it that way. I gather that King Albert felt he had little choice in the matter because of Queen Paula. Well, Queen Paula and King Albert were effectively separated for 2 decades, so I don't know why her sensitivities had to be brought into it to the expense of Delphine. But anyway, it happened, and everybody has moved on, and I think we should move on to what DC 7117 says, which is, I read the Real Diana last year and saw so many places where Meghan tried to imitate Diana that I started to mark them. There were many, yes. I'm sure she used your book as a template. I would imagine H has no idea this is going on. May I suggest DC 7117, if you are listening, that you provide me with the number of instances that you noted, because I wrote the book many years ago. I wrote it in 1997. It was published in 98, and I named my sources for the British edition in 2004, since when I haven't looked at it. Sorry. So you most likely are far more au fait with the contents of the book than I am. I'm just sort of, I know I wrote it, and I know what I wrote was accurate, but do I remember everything? Absolutely not a chance. Of course, Harry has absolutely no idea what's going on. Oh, Meghan. Oh, I'm so lucky. I lost Mummy, and now I have you. Mummy has come back in your form. Oh, Meg, I'm so lucky. You better believe it, H, because if you don't, there's going to be all hell to pay, because H, I channel your mother, and your mother says, no, she said, don't do that, H, it annoys me. Now, come on, H, down, boy, down, lower. Mummy says she's very pleased with you, H, when you behave like that. You're such a good and obedient boy. Yeah, she said she had all hell to pay when you were growing up, but she and I are going to conquer those demons within you, H. Yes, we are. He has absolutely no idea. The man has surrendered himself, body and soul. Of course, body came before soul, but soul was very willing to follow body, especially as how soul loved the contents of what body provided. Well, to not divert too much, he has believed all the claptrap that she has come up with. I mean, can you imagine, seriously, in a healthy relationship, an adult male married to and performing a marital devices, pleasures, obligations, etc., with the conjugal partner who is channeling a dead parent? There are 3 in the marriage, one of which is a corpse or a ghost, whichever way you want to put it. Can you imagine that happening in a healthy environment? I can't. I certainly can't. And by their own admission, this is a part of their relationship. Of course he has no idea what's going on. But he doesn't want to have any idea what's going on. Well, he might now have some idea, depending on who you can believe. Because have they spread the rumors, and has he, on her behalf and possibly at her behest, spread the rumors of estrangement between them to make people like me look stupid when they remain together? Because that's a possibility. So we have to ask that question. Or has he started to wise up to the fact that Santeria, 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 oh, Santeria, Santeria, Santeria. Oh. And Mummy says that she is so pleased with the way that I have control of you. Juggle those balls again, she says. Yeah. Mommy says that she's just absolutely thrilled with the way that we're conducting our lives. And Mommy says that all this negativity is nothing to do with us. It's people who are jealous of us. Everybody is jealous of us. I can't open my eyes because I've got to channel your mommy, your mom. I know you call her mommy, but I really am into moms, not mommy. But anyway, let's call her mommy and humor you, because really, you know, a girl's got to do what a girl's got to do. That's right, yes. Girl's got to do what a girl's got to do to keep control of her man. Especially when he's got such udders that he gives fantastic milk. Now that's unique. Tracy D2 says, why do you think Harry is still in denial about Meghan? Is it because she is always in his ear, sun up to sundown, that he can't even form his own thoughts anymore? That's certainly what happened in the early days. You know, a submissive wants to hand over to a dominatrix. Somebody who is irresponsible wants to be able to feel that someone else is in control. Of course, if it's a man who wants to believe he's macho man, you know, I was a war hero. I stayed in the bunker in Afghanistan. I'm a war hero. Not like my Uncle Andrew, who actually was in a helicopter and stood a chance of dying. No, I stood a certainty of surviving in the bunker. That makes me a war hero. Well, the fact of the matter is, he wanted to relegate control so that he would then be out of control. That would give him the freedom to indulge his negative traits. People like Harry, who are on a very short leash and who explode at the drop of a hat, enjoy losing control. They enjoy being out of control. They enjoy the fulmination and the emotional expulsion that comes with being out of control. So yes, he from the very outset was up for relegating control to Meghan. She, on the other hand, likes being in control. It's a marriage made in hell. Perfect. One is a controller, the other likes being controlled. One plays the, oh, I'm just such a sweet and delicate little feminist, you know. I can't do anything on my own and I cry at the drop of a hat. Oh, everybody's so mean to me, but I'm so big and strong and mighty and I'm just such a feminist. You know, I'm a strong, independent woman of colour, but I crack at the drop of a hat because I'm such a sweet and delicate little flower. Well, which one is it? I mean, or is it two sides of a coin flipping conveniently for drama, for control, and also to remain the center of attention? Because you see, she is the producer, director, writer, star of her own show. And I am told by people who know them well and have known her for a long time that she felt that she had woken up and gone to heaven when she and Harry got together. Because to her, there is no greater thrill than being on a royal stage, acting as the dominatrix to a subservient royal. So she has moved from being middling, in fact below middling, to the absolute peak in terms of worldly advantage. And she gets off on the fact that this show, this drama, this production that she has orchestrated and she is starring in has as its supporting cast and its victim a royal and the royal family. I mean, this is seriously convoluted stuff, and this is seriously disturbing stuff. And going off the evidence of their actions, this is seriously disturbed stuff as well. But there's no doubt the Meghan and Harry show stars Meghan. Hand on the back, tweaked a little bit, has to move his right foot, put a little bit of pressure on the left side of her hand. He has to move his foot to the left. And yes, evidently he does rebel from time to time, and always has. But she evidently loves it because she's riding that tiger and knows ultimately she's in control of it. And the drama is fabulous. They both love the drama, and they are both primarily, originally, and maybe still, and most likely still, acting primarily for their own benefit. And everything else is secondary, except, of course, her primary motivations, which are attention and money. But she's getting attention in many different ways. So the attention part of it is totally not only wrapped up in this bizarre act of histrionics, dramatics, and really the cult of Meghan with Harry as the worshipper. Of course, every now and then he might buck, but she knows how to bring him back into line. And evidently she does it quite very effectively. She used to be able to play the carnal card, but maybe with the passage of time that will wear off sufficiently that other tools have to be employed. And I'm being hypothetical, but in fact I think I could be actual. Rosanna Yiannakis says, usually people like them implode on each other at some point. They attract and call to themselves a great deal of bad luck and strip themselves of good luck. Meghan can do her little rituals and chants and sage burning, but the universe is powerful as the sun shining and winds blowing over the ocean. It's not going to step back for Meghan's little chants. It will blow her over because when she was protected with good luck and blessings, she turned her back and invited in darkness. Take a moment to reflect on this. Your grandmother and grandfather are dying, but you push forward with your agenda of defamation and lies. This is the grandma you called when you needed a bigger house and more money at the age of nearly 40 years, with a wife who is disrespectful, jealous, and hateful towards your family and country. Every family has issues, but what you did is betrayal on a grand scale. If they do that to their own families, imagine what they can do to us. We are just their milking cows, and they will say anything to keep their wealth and status afloat. Rosanna Yiannakis, I have to tell you, to a large extent, I agree with what you have said. I think you have summarized beautifully a lot of my sentiments. You cannot be destructive, willfully destructive, and always expect the rewards of constructiveness. And people like that usually do implode on each other at some point. But by then, you see, they are so demeaned and diminished, and they are so, irrespective of the levels they started at, they're so deflated and diselevated, if there's such a word, that water has sought its own level, and they're busy sloshing around in their pond of destructiveness. What I just said in the question before applies here. Primarily, we have to be aware of the fact that we are dealing with a couple whose primary objective is not us, it's each other and the benefits that accrue to each of them from the games they play with each other. And then we are roped in as onlookers. And because money is involved, there are financial considerations as well. But yeah, we are just their milking cows, and we need to remember it. No respect for us whatsoever. No consistency. No, well, I've said it. I don't need to say more. No respect for us. And it has to be said, scant respect for themselves or each other, because for all their grandeur and grandiosity and demands of reverence, people who have self-respect don't behave like that, in my opinion. Mandy's Corner says, "Hi, Lady C. I love the intro song and this channel. Thank you. I think Mega Fraud was pregnant with Archie. I think she padded and wore bumps to confuse the people and the media, so they would be talked about negatively to possibly sue later. Thank you." Mandy's Corner, I've read this out because you're not the only person who thinks that that is a possibility. And in fact, if I remember correctly, I mooted it as a possibility in Meghan and Harry, the real story. That certainly it's been talked about that, variation of the, he proposed when we were roasting chicken. Crocodile was Archie's first word. And the Queen made sure that she gave us a machine so we could make waffles. Aren't we clever? We're such urbanites. We're just ending sophistication. Yeah. We just are. Is it possible? Not everything that's possible is likely, but anything that's likely is possible. I will leave you with that enigma, shall we say, because I don't want to say any more at this juncture. Okay? LHWC says, "Hi, Lady C. I love watching your videos. Thank you. Thank you. If Nutmeg's talent agency advised her to no longer go after the royal family. Then why does she continue to have photos of herself, Harry, and all the supposed children released on important days the royal family is participating? Has Meghan been released by her new talent agency? Are they fed up with her not following their advice? She's such a disgusting excuse for a human, wanting each day for her and Harry to get what's coming due them. Well, I always function under the premise that revenge is mine, saith the Lord. I will repay. Now, you've not said that you want to be vengeful. You have simply said that you want them to get their comeuppance and to get what's due to them. So what you're really saying is, although you're not going to actively seek revenge on everybody else's behalf, you're going to enjoy schadenfreude when their day of reckoning comes. Darling, not only you, a whole load of people. And those of us who are not vengeful will nevertheless enjoy eating off the smorgasbord of schadenfreude. Now, to answer the question, you need to understand the way agencies work. They try to get work for their clients. Unless they get work for their clients, they don't make any money. An agency is not the same thing. Or to rephrase that, an agent who gets work for a client is not the same thing as a press agent, as it used to be known, who are nowadays called public relations agents, who get you publicity. William Morris Endeavour is not a public relations agency along the lines of Sunshine Sachs. William Morris Endeavour is there to get work for Meghan. My understanding is that they told her that she needed to cut out a lot of her nonsense to make herself rebrandable, but that she's not doing it. She is addicted to publicity. She is addicted to attention. She is addicted to being in the media. And Meghan evidently thinks she's cleverer than everybody. And she doesn't listen. And she knows better than everybody. And people ultimately who are professional and capable and realistic and not delusional and not desperate for the money ultimately get fed up. I don't think she's been released by William Morris Endeavour yet. I asked and I was told that there's no word on, well, not on the street, but in the drawing rooms of California, that she's been released by William Morris. But the word is that they're already disaffected by the fact that Meghan's rocking the boat yet again. She can't help herself, according to people I spoke to. And it doesn't bode well for her long-term relationship with William Morris Endeavour. They're trying to sell 9-carat gold as 22 for the value of 22-carat gold. And they're trying to pass it off in the hope that people will nibble and not understand the difference between 9-carat gold and 22-carat gold, which is somewhat unrealistic because in the entertainment world, everybody knows caratage. Nevertheless, that's what they're trying to do. Of course, it's often done in Hollywood. You know, B graders are presented as A minus, D as C. Meghan, who was definitely a D-lister, was always presented as somebody who was on the up and up, even though people ran evidently 9 times out of 10 as soon as they came into contact with her or heard about other people who had. Hence why she was never a success. She not only didn't have the looks or the figure or the talent, but she didn't have a winning personality. If you have a winning personality in Hollywood, I am assured by people who know, people will promote you even at the expense of more talented, better looking, better actors or actresses. Talent alone is not enough. Determination alone is not enough. Meghan is very determined. She's very ambitious. She doesn't have a winning personality. And all of the that she used to indulge in before she met and married Harry. I mean, look at some of her television performances. They are embarrassingly dreadful as she encircles herself with her arms, semi-nude like bindweed. Yes, I'm so enthusiastic, and just over the top, and just, yes, I'm so fabulous, and you're just so wonderful too. I just love you. I only met you 2 minutes ago, but I'd give my life for you. I'm just so enthusiastic, and over the top phony baloney. Didn't work. That's why she was never a star. That's why she's at the pass she's at now. And let's see how long this relationship with William Morris Endeavour lasts for. If they can make money out of her, it might last a long time. It might well last a long time. But we need to watch this space and see. But I am told by people in Hollywood, the harbingers are not good. Meghan cannot resist polluting her pond with detrimental publicity. And she seems to think that if she is overexposed, that is to her benefit. William Morris Endeavour has told her it's not, and she's not learning the lesson. Well, at least they're no longer trashing the royal family, stating, well, you know, Oprah, there's a big difference between criticism and racism. Yes, they were racist. I have not said it, but I have used the word racism. You can jump to your own conclusions. I've delivered the message. Oh, no, Meg never said that. Never. Oh, no, nobody said that. We didn't accuse them of racism, but we did accept the award for fighting institutional racism from Kerry Kennedy. Well, no inconsistency there. Why wouldn't we accept an award for fighting institutional racism against people who were not racist and who we didn't accuse of racism, except that we did? But, oh, this is all too muddling. I think, Tom Bradby, you better just shut up. And Tom Bradby made sure he didn't press the point, because he knew if he pressed the point, this interview would never have seen the light of day. But what Harry, and both Harry and Meghan actually don't seem to understand is, once we have seen the join, we can't unsee it. Unless we're dumb like Meghan and Harry, who don't seem to understand that there's a message there when the join is there. And if they don't get it, that's their problem. We've all got it. And on that note, I will say thank you very much. I hope this has been of some interest to you. Please keep the questions and comments coming in on any subject whatsoever. I hope that the bit of variety I introduced today has actually been something that some of you have appreciated. Thank you so much. God bless. Bye-bye. And if you have really enjoyed this, please like, share, subscribe, press the notification bell, and take good care.